Hey, welcome to Get Started with Microsoft 365 Copilot in Excel. Practical examples and how-tos. And today we have our presenter extraordinaire, Daryl Rowe, is going to be leading today's session. I'll be just hopping in with occasional commentary, but this is all Daryl today, and I'm pretty excited because there is some very cool things, including one we just learned before we started recording.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. Sorry, I cut you off. I'm that excited about Excel and Copilot. I thought, I'm dying to show everybody. But thanks for inviting me on. So today, we're going to talk about Copilot and Excel. And first things first, I have to state I am not an Excel expert. So Copilot in Excel is actually a huge help for me. I did use Excel quite a bit back in the day when I was doing my project management days. I live in Excel. Mainly there's a lot of a database where I have to do some budget stuff. But I did struggle with things like pivot tables and charts. And Copilot and Excel can actually help you a lot with that. So let me just quickly go through a couple of things that, where it's based on what it can do. And then we'll go primarily into demo mode. So a cool thing that Copilot and Excel can do, it can help create formulas. Something that I struggled with quite a bit. Simple formulas are very easy, and I can multiply and do all that other stuff. But doing lookup tables and using conditional formatting and stuff like that, I really struggle with. So being able to put that into natural language and getting Copilot to do that is really, really useful. The other thing I always struggle with is data analysis, creating charts, pivot tables, asking it questions. Again, in Excel, I'm not a great expert at doing that. Getting Copilot to do it for me is a huge win. But before we start, there are some rules to using Copilot in Excel. First things first, the chart has to live in OneDrive or in SharePoint. It has to live in Microsoft 365, basically. So having this on your local hard drive in whatever folder or on a network share isn't going to work. It has to live in the cloud. So Copilot can do its magic on it. Next thing, autosave has to be switched on. So Copilot does actually make quite a few changes to your data, but it does, and with autosave on's fine because you can use version control, so you can always go back to something, but it does need autosaves on to work. The next thing, Copilot needs to see headings or the data range needs to be in a table, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So that is something that how it operates. It likes to see structured data. So if you have unstructured data, just to really structure it, all you need to do is put it into a table and it will figure it out or have headings. And then all it is from there is just basically launching the Copilot from the ribbon. So I'm actually going to switch screens. I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to reshare and we'll go to Copilot in Excel. So let me just pull up my Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to share it. So here what I have is a spreadsheet. It's basically about a marketing campaign. Not the biggest spreadsheet in the world, it's actually pretty small, but it's got some data in there. And it's typically, I know people would like to talk about this, but Excel is probably the #1 database program people use. They use it for everything. They put text in there, they put numbers in there. It's probably a bigger database program than using Access or SQL in the Microsoft world. So people just use it for everything. It's a great place to put stuff. However, formatting does get a problem. So before I start anything on this, I'm going to format this spreadsheet and make it easier to read. But before I even do that, I need to convert it to a table so that Copilot can operate on it. And to do that, you select your data range. And then you click Insert and then hit the table button. Pretty straightforward. You'll get a little window pop up. I hope you can see that. I mentioned my table does have headers on it, so I do have titles. Here straight away you can see it's now a table. And what it's nicely done is it's actually pushed out, formatted a little bit better, but also put some nice colors in. So it looks a lot easier to read now as well. So there's a few things on this spreadsheet. I've got a campaign owner. It's a little bit hard to read. Let me just change the text so make it a little bit easier to read. Let's quickly do that. There we go. So you can see campaign owner, campaign name. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. I've got campaign owner, but it's second name, first name. I'd actually would like to see it first name, last name. I don't have any email addresses for these folks. I also don't know, I've got location, but I don't actually have country. So I just got the cities. So I'm going to do a few things. First things first, I want to change that campaign owner. I want it first name, last name. So I'm going to open Copilot. And so here you can see Copilot is opened on the right-hand side as it does in Word and Excel, Word and PowerPoint and other applications. To save you watching me type, I'm actually going to copy and paste in some prompts. And it just speeds things up as well. So what this prompt's going to do, I'm going to create a column between A and B. So in between these two guys, I'm going to call it campaign owner full name. It's going to show the campaign owner's first name, then a space, then their last name. So before I had Copilot, what I probably would have done, because I'm not an expert, I could have written a formula, but I don't know how to do that. I would have probably sat there, opened a new column, and hand typed these in. It would have taken me ages. Okay, it's not the biggest spreadsheet, but I had, it could still take me a good half hour to do that potentially. But I get Copilot to do it for me. So I'm going to hit the send button. It's analyzing the data on the table. Generating suggestions. And what's really nice about this is it actually shows me what the formula would look like for those new columns that it would create. So I would know where I'd been able to create that on my own. I would never have got that. Also have an explanation of what it's doing and a preview of what it's going to look like when it's done. So I haven't done anything yet. It's not actually operated on Copilot. But if I click the insert column, it'll actually apply those changes to my spreadsheet. And then boom, straight away, it's corrected the first name, last name. So saved me a ton of time. So I mentioned I haven't got the email addresses for these folks. I know they'll work for Contoso. I want to start, recording email addresses. I didn't ask them to do that when we created the spreadsheet. So I'm going to get Copilot to do that for me. Again, if I did this by hand, it would take me a long time. So I'm going to paste in my prompt. So I want to create another new column between B and C. I'm going to call it email address. And I want it to look at the column in here. I want it to add a period or a full stop between the names and add @contoso.com to the email address and then put it into that column. So let me hit the send button. So as before, I've got my preview, got my explanation of what it's actually doing to my data, and my formula that it's going to create in that column. So I'm going to hit the insert column bit, and boom. Now I have email addresses. I don't know how long that would take me to type these out by hand, but it would take a while. So last thing I want to look on formatting, I need to create a country column. I want to create that between these two, between the email address and the campaign. So I've got a record of where they actually are. So let me type in my next prompt. And similar to my last prompt, I'm going to say to Copilot, insert a column between C and D, and we're going to call it country. Then I want you to look at location, which is in column E currently, and add the country. So what it's doing is it's going to create the column, create the give it a name. But really cool thing is it's going to do lookups. No lookup table here. It's going to look up the city and add a country for that. Just going to go to the web to go check that out and push that back into that column. So again, here's my preview, explaining what it's doing. Here's my formula. Now, again, that would have taken me a bunch of books and hours to figure that formula out. Copilot's done it in an instant. And straight away, you can see, look at the first one, location is Dubai, it knows it's in the Arab Emirates. Look at Prague, it knows it's in the Czech Republic. Chicago knows it's in the United States. So basically a formatting exercise that could have taken me an hour or two has been done in basically a handful of prompts. Okay, so let's look at my next thing. I need to do some, actually I need to create another column or do some more analysis. So I need to look at the budget. And if you look into the budget column, you can see here there's some numbers, but I need to highlight, I'm concerned about going over cost. I need to look at the budget and see if anything's over $1,000, highlight that in red, but anything under 1,000 I think is safe, and highlight that in green. So I'm gonna ask Copilot to do that for me. This will be a conditional format. So literally, as I just said it, look at budget. If it's less than 1,000, make the cell green. If it's equal to 1,000 or greater, make the cell red. So analyzing the data again. Straight away, it's predicting what it's going to do. Got the apply button, haven't done that yet. Hit the apply button. Straight away, I can see now, under 1,000 in green, over 1,000 or equal to 1,000, I'm in red. So straight away, I can see where I've got to worry about budget. I can go back and maybe approach those campaign owners and talk about that. Okay, I also need to look at creating a success, yes or no. So I'm looking at my revenue, and some of these didn't really generate a lot of money. You can see here there's some very expensive campaigns that have generated less than $1,000. So I'm going to ask it to create a new column. I'm going to call it a success column. And if the revenue's greater than $2,000, call it a success. If it's under 2,000, it's not a success, just say no. So again, Copilot is doing some analysis on the data. It's going to look at the revenue column and basically apply that formula in a brand new column. It's in column P. I've applied that. So that's pretty much my formatting done. Now I really want to now look at the analysis of the data. Now I can actually work on it. So what I'm going to do, make that a little bit smaller so I can see what's going on here. I want to analyze the data. So first things first, I can ask it, which campaign owner made the most revenue? So I've got a bunch of names here. They're repeated, so it's not one person doing one task. For example, Yakuba's done a lot of different campaigns. So let's see who's the most successful. And then straight away, it's picked up Yakuba. That was a bit of a coincidence. It's telling me Yakuba's the person that did the most amount of revenue generation. Now I'm going to ask it, what was the most successful campaign type based on revenue? So I'm going to do it to do a little bit more number crunching. We've got different campaign types. We've got social media, we've got digital marketing. And digital marketing is the winner. That's the one we need to concentrate on to be most successful. I'm going to ask it now, which campaign had the most targeted users? So which one actually got most eyeballs looking at stuff? Again, simple questions that you might get asked all the time. You can actually analyze this data very, very easily without having to do any math on it. It's telling me brand marketing's the winner, 229,000. Okay, so I've got one more query to ask it. I want to know how successful Twitter is. Well, actually, it's now called X, but let me call it Twitter just for the sake of this demo. It's going to tell me how that works and how, if that's something we want to pursue using Twitter as a campaign vehicle or not. Saying based on the revenue generated, it wasn't actually that successful. It doesn't think we've really generated enough money through Twitter. Okay. Now I've got a bunch of comments here as well. And maybe they explain why some of these were successful, some weren't. So I'm going to ask it to summarize the comments. So here we're doing some text analysis. And Copilot's going to tell me which ones what's the general comments, what the perspectives are. It's given me an engagement chart, but also it's picking out the summary of the comments. Now, that's great and all, but wouldn't it be nice to actually, analyze that further? And we can do that in a second. I'm actually going to do one more thing before we go to my next section on data analysis using Python. I'm going to just do a simple chart. I'm going to ask Copilot to create a bar chart of campaign owner against revenue. So I know straight away who's the person that's generating the most amount of revenue. It's also created me a pivot table as well. So that's something, again, I would have struggled with. So I'm going to add that. I've got the option here. So I'm going to put this in my existing data set. It's going to actually add a new sheet to that. And straight away, I can see, here's my bar chart. I can stretch that out, make it bigger. I want to put that into a PowerPoint slide. I could do that. I've also got, as you can see here, a pivot table on the right-hand side. So if I say I want to look at budget instead of revenue, I can do that, or I can overlay it. I can also overlay the number of engaged users, or maybe the total users. So straight away, I've got a pivot table with a chart that saved me a bunch of time. I can then use that to put it into other things and maybe present on that. Okay, so let me go back to my main sheet. And I'm going to start looking at Python. So Python is a way of using a programming language to actually ask more questions about data. And I'm going to use this table again. Again, it's not the biggest spreadsheet in the world, but it's actually nice for the demonstration. So to start Python, I can actually go and ask it to start advanced analysis. I've actually got a prompt here to do that. So let me kick that off. Also, if you saw back at the very top of the list, there's also starter prompts to tell you to start things. So I think the first one was generate a word cloud using Python. So I'm actually going to try that. So let me click on that, generate a word cloud using Python. And what it's going to do is going to look at my comments sheet and create a nice word cloud. So here's telling me I can do that, but I want to put it into a new analysis, and I want it to start advanced analysis to do that. So it's giving me an option to do that. So it's pulling the whole data set up and summarizing it. And it's looked at the comment column because it realized comments is where all the words were. and created for me a preview here of my word cloud. So imagine
That's pretty cool.
it isn't bad, right?
I like that.
So imagine if I'm presenting this, I need to present the data to my management team. I need to put this together into a PowerPoint. I just copy paste that into PowerPoint slide.
Yep.
Really super cool. And that's the thing we were talking about earlier, that new feature we discovered today. But I can ask it to do more with Python as well. Now, again, here's an option here. If you see add results, so this is just a preview. If I add the new results to a new sheet, it'll actually create that for me. And this is one I can take and copy paste. But I'm going to go back to my original analysis. I'm going to start asking it more about the campaign. So I'm going to want it to compare campaign performance based on revenue, profit, and engagement percentage. So I'm asking it three things at once, three-way comparison. Let's see what it comes up with. So telling me what it's going to do. It's saying, okay, I need to group stuff together. It's done on my analysis, giving me the preview. It's created a table as well as 3 bar charts. So straight away, it's giving me my table as well as my bar chart. So if I want to copy values into a new sheet, I can absolutely do that too. Here's my bar chart straight away, generated for me in a matter of a few seconds. Okay, so let's ask it something else. And because it's natural language, I can put some colloquialisms in there. So I'm going to ask it, based on profit, what type of campaign provides the most bang for your buck? You know, a very typical British or American colloquialism. Because he's using a large language model and it understands me, it's going to realize that what's the most effective campaign as such. Here it's telling me, looks like it's brand marketing's the number one, followed by digital marketing. So straight away, it realizes that. Just a few more little things. So I want to identify the top performing campaigns based on engagement. Let's see how that comes up with that. In sorting the code for me. And I don't think I pointed out before, actually you can see a preview of the Python code. I'll show you that in a second once it's finished. So you can see straight away, let me go back to the one here. You can actually see the Python code it's running. If I wanted to put this into something else, I can do that. I have an explanation as well. I can copy paste that directly into something else, maybe into Word, into a WordPad, something else, or even drop it straight into another Excel spreadsheet. Maybe I don't. One of my colleagues doesn't have Copilot. I can then send them the code. They can run this themselves. I wanted to create another graph though. I want to show again a three-way graph. I want to show engagement compared to budget and profit. And because it's a three-way type scenario, it's giving me as a scatter plot. So here you can see it's very, very tough to read. Maybe I'll open it in the new sheet so you can see it better. But straight away you can see a scatter plot. So profits based on the size of the dot. And then you can see it's plotted on the X and Y axes where they sit in the chart. Couple more things, and then I think we can wrap up. So I want to look at the most successful campaigners based on their profit and engagement percentage, and I want it to show it to me graphically. So it's created the table for me already, and now it's going to do my graph. And it's created another scatter plot, which is quite handy. And one more thing, let's just do the last one. And I want to look at a correlation. So I want to see a correlation between different campaign metrics, such as profit, budget, and engagement. And I want that to be shown graphically as well. And here what it's done is create a heat map for me, is a correlation matrix. So straight away I can see the correlation between budget, profit, and engagement, and then measure that on that heat map. A very, very small heat map, but it's done it regardless. Okay, with that, I'm going to pass it back to Mike. I think that's a quick demo of what we can do with Python.
That was awesome. I mean, like you said in the beginning, a lot of us do struggle with visualizing, sorting the data, and working with spreadsheets. I know I definitely have cursed at Excel more than one occasion, but this really opens up the doors for a lot of people to be able to hit the ground running.
Absolutely, and I think we've said this in previous videos. Try, experiment. You can't break anything.
Yep.
And if you do actually hit the apply button, you don't like it, right underneath it is an undo button. Hit the undo button.
That's the whole thing, right? You can always go back.
Absolutely. And another benefit of being in the cloud, I have versions as well, version controls, having it auto save on.
Yeah.
If I've gone too far down that rabbit hole, I can always go back to a previous version. I'm not going to mess my data up.
That's a big deal. Well, thank you very much, Daryl. This was awesome. For those who have been watching this video, you can see just below the video, there are resources to help get you started. And with that, for Mike and Daryl, have a great day.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody.